Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this retreat. For all those who are here in person and for all those who are on live stream, it's good for us to gather. When I talked with Father Dave a little bit about the topic for this retreat, it just seemed, as I was telling about all the things that's been happening in Servite life, which happens in everybody else's lives too, is all the transitioning going on. And he said, oh, I think that's a perfect focus for the retreat, finding our purpose in the transitions of life. I think one of the biggest transitions for us at this time, for this retreat, is transitioning from the Mother House, where we've had our annual retreat for I don't know how many years, to our first time here at Folkestone Chapel, the courtyard. It just seemed like the right thing to do, since most of us are here and easy for the rest of us to get over here. It's just a blessing that we all have come together for this. I want to tell you a little bit about how I know Father Dave Korth. He was at Winnebago Indian Mission for 13 years, and he's been at Sacred Heart for 9 years, and then has added St. Benedict's now for the last 2 years. So I kind of got to know him during COVID, watching the live stream, because Sacred Heart has kind of been my go-to parish, and I've gone to Sacred Heart for liturgy, and I've always been so enlivened and enriched by that experience. It's been wonderful. His homilies are terrific, they're profound, they're so relevant to the day. He's so real and so honest in who he is. I think he also has presided at our St. Peregrine liturgies, and so many of us have seen him there. And I had a good chance to visit with him because we had a common friend. So Father Jim Golka, who was one of the priests, pastor when I was at St. Pat's in North Platte, who's now Bishop James Golka in Colorado Springs. And so it's wonderful that we share that connection, and I'm always grateful for that. So when I asked him, I thought, oh, I hope he says yes. When I asked him, and he said, yes, I would love to do that. The sisters aren't always thanked enough for what they do for us. And I was like, wow, this man is going to be great. And then as I said, we talked about the focus. So I really feel this is going to be a very grace time for all of us. And so I just thank you for taking a little bit of a risk if you didn't know who he is. But I know he's gone around and he's introduced himself. So at least for those here present, you've heard him speak and you're about to hear him speak again. So I'm just so grateful, and thank you, Father Dave, for saying yes.
There's one over there.
I'm going to see if this microphone will work. It doesn't sound like it's near as good as it doesn't sound. Yeah, I think it will use that one. Okay. Yeah, that's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. I just want to say thank you to Mary for extending this invitation to me. I honestly, there's a nervousness about me. There's a little bit of nerves every time I preach, but there's really a nervousness preaching in front of so much holiness here. Seriously, you guys. Any priest worth their salt knows where the real holiness lies. And it's in women religious. Like I said, Mary, you guys have done so much behind the scenes for so many years. My prayer for you during this retreat is that you can get the grace to know the impact that you've had. Okay, that's my prayer for you. Okay? But I also want each of you tonight, I'm going to introduce myself. I am going to invite you to introduce yourselves to one another. We'll pass the mic around, okay? Because I know that there's some maybe that don't know each other, okay? And then I'm going to invite you to spend a little bit of time in prayer and come up with, name a grace that you want to receive out of this retreat. Okay? That sound all right? So I did IPF, the Institute for Priestly Formation, Spiritual Direction Training, a few years ago, right? I finished right before this thing called COVID-19 kind of slammed the world. And so I finished that February. And then, so one of the things that I was taught, and it's really been helpful for me, is when you go into prayer, name the grace, right? Just say, God, I'm asking for the grace of, just name it, right? Just name it, put it out there. So anyway, that's what I'm going to ask you to do tonight. Sound okay? We'll definitely get into the purpose stuff tomorrow, all right? So I think that's called a cliffhanger. Maybe some of you might come back tomorrow. So just a little bit about me. I've been ordained 33 years a priest, okay? But I was raised in a family of Leonard and Margaret Korth in Randolph, Nebraska. Grew up on a farm. Any farm children here? Okay, we got a couple farm children. Never really leaves you, does it? So grew up in Randolph, Nebraska. Went to all public schools until I went to seminary. I ended up going, well, actually, no. Before I went to Mount Marty College in Yankton, South Dakota. The Benedictine sisters there. That is kind of where my vocation, I already felt called to the priesthood, but I kept pushing it out of my head. And it was there that I went. One of my professors was Sister Ann Kessler. She was a history professor. She was the one that got me opening up to actually talk to another human being about maybe what God had in store for me. So I kept trying to push it on my mind, but I had to go to her office to deliver a paper, I believe, or get a test back, one of the two. And I had my hand on the doorknob. It was so close to being out of there. And I hear she had this really long, narrow office. She goes, by the way, David, what's your major? I said, business. And I was turning that knob. I was so close. And she said, you don't seem like a business major to me. Have you ever thought about being a priest? And I turned around and I said, why? Does it show? She goes, sit down. And so she became the person that really brought out in me what God was doing in me. So, forever grateful. So I went to Conception Seminary College, graduated from there in 3 years. Went to St. Paul Seminary, School of Divinity of the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota for my graduate school. And it was there that I ran into this young guy from Grand Island, Nebraska, Jim Golka. And we're going to get together on Sunday night. We get together every year, a group of us from St. Paul. So looking forward to that very much because he's an excellent cook. So, and I'm a really good eater. Okay, so it works out really well that way. So I was ordained, and I spent 3 years at St. Leo's, and that's where Cheryl and I worked together. Shirley, you missed the part where we're going to introduce ourselves, so get ready for that too. So, had 3 incredible years there at St. Leo's. But then I think the Archdiocese, well, that was Archbishop Curtis at that time, he's like, let's get him out of the city. Let's keep him on the border with Lincoln. And I consider myself border control. So I went to Fremont for 3 years, and I use this term loosely, taught in the Fremont Bergen Junior Senior High School. And then I moved and became a pastor for the first time in Duncan and Silver Creek, again on the border, right? was out by Columbus, and then I was doing campus ministry at Columbus Scotus High School. After 5 years there, the opportunity to go to the Indian reservations came about, and I asked to go there. I think the Archbishop, he never really did know what to do with me, but he really scratched his head when I came asking to go to the Indian reservations, which is something I really felt called to. Even, gosh, when I was trying to fight the calling to priesthood. So 13 beautiful years there, and then when I was going to transition there, I'll say a little bit more tomorrow about this, but that was a very important, very big transition for me. You can see some instruments up here, the Native American flute. Native American spirituality became a really important part of my life. And so I took a 2-month sabbatical to really make that transition to Sacred Heart. But I'll say a little bit more tomorrow about that. But so I've been at Sacred Heart for 9 years. 2 years ago, with the Journey of Faith, I got St. Benedict the Moor, the only Black Catholic parish in the state of Nebraska. That's been another wonderful learning experience for me. And I've been the president of the CUES school system. So maybe you've heard of CUES. It's been around for 50 years now. But when I got there, we made it into a school system. So, and before I go any further, I want to say thank you to the Servites for coming to Holy Name. That's one of my 3 schools that I am the president of. Because what is going on there now, it might be completely different from when you guys all showed up at the beginning, but now it's 100% of our kids are free and reduced lunch. We get a lot of immigrant families, but I believe that is the most important place for Catholic education to exist, is to give an option for the poor, a preferential option for the poor. I didn't just make that line up, but it's a good one, isn't it? So anyway, that's what I get to do, and now this week I'm really excited that I get to be with all of you. But I want to hear a little bit about all of you. So is it okay if I come around and if you want to say your name, if you are Servite or Mercy or one special child of God that's not a religious, say which community. And if you want to talk about, what your primary ministry was, if you want to do that, that might be good. So tonight you can kind of talk about, but then throughout this week, hopefully we're going to get into what your primary ministry is now and help you be open to what that purpose is that God has for you now. Does that sound okay? All right. Start.
I don't understand.
I nailed it.
I can hear him, but I don't get his words. Like he drops his voice too much.
Yes.
We're gonna sit over there tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
two ministries are baby cuddling and treasure.
Baby cuddling and treasure.
Geneva Paluca, and I'm a sister of Mercy for 70 years. And I was raised by the Sisters of Mercy practically from before I started school, when I went in and asked one day who were those strange creatures walking up and down the street. Because they used to walk from the old college to St. Mary's High School in the summertime when they went to school. And they would walk past my house. And I think that's when the invitation to begin thinking about being a sister first was planted. And I am taught, I've been a principal, I've been an associate pastor, and I've taught music. I can't remember all the other things.
I don't know who doesn't know me, but I'm Sister Zita, end of the alphabet. And it's hard to know what to say. I've taught in 4 schools here in Omaha, plus being out of Omaha to a number of other places. And it's hard to summarize. Well, it's been 76 years that I've been roaming around teaching, so it's been great. And I appreciate all the experiences, all the people that I have gotten to know.
I'm Sister Helen Servite. I grew up 4 houses away from Servite High School in Detroit, Michigan, and I St. John Birchman's. And so I used to walk way around. You could have walked right to school straight, 4 houses down, and then there was the school. But no, I walked all around the block. I didn't want to have one of those nuns come out of the convent. I walked with them. Can you imagine? And carry their briefcase. So, and then some sister in my grade school said 3 Hail Marys so you'll know your vocation. Oh, I said 3 Hail Marys so faithfully every night so that I would not have to be a sister. And I had 4 older sisters, but no, here I am. And I ministered at Holy Name, I taught at Holy Name in Pius X year, counselor at Marion. Then I was a counselor in a school in Tucson, Arizona, as a Southwell Catholic. And that's about the summary. I mean, that's where I am now.
I'm Carolyn. I'm from Michigan, and I was right down the street from Helen, but we didn't know it until we were nuns.
This is older,
Anyhow, I went to a Servite school, and it was called Servite, and therefore I decided to come and try it, and I've had a wonderful church all the way through, and one of my first remembrances, I'm in education. I was in teaching, and I was in principling, and I was in all the other part of it. But the big thing that I thought about is, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but the Lord has been with me the whole time. And I've ministered mostly in the Omaha. I went to Pius. I was at Pius, and I was at Marion, and I was even at Mount Michael. But that was, I said Holy Name. But I think the thing I'm so grateful for, and I guess the gift or the grace that I'm looking for has already been given to me, because this move has been a very significant thing in my life, and it's the first time I've been retired, really, and I'm really retired.
name is Kathleen Erickson, and I'm Sister of Mercy. I entered the community, I grew up in North Dakota, entered the community right out of high school, and spent the first years teaching and going from one place to another, teaching and that sort of thing. But the biggest part of my life has been spent in Latin America. 20 years at the border, more than about 20 years. And so my recent adjustment is to be back in La La Land.
My name is Jackie Ryan. I'm a servant of Mary from Omaha. I have a lot of connection to Holy Name. I was a student there, a teacher there, and the principal there. So my love of Holy Name goes deep. I also taught at Pius, and the rest of my ministry days I've spent serving in the leadership of our community. And I can say I've loved every one of them.
I'm Terry Caffrey, and I am very blessed to be a guest here at the retreat. I am a retired surgical nurse from Bergen Mercy. I am a member of St. Francis Cabrini Parish down on 10th and William Street, and I do the bulletin down there, and have also helped with getting Alpha started and several other activities in the parish.
I'm Sister Carol Lorenz. Sorry, my voice is not good. I'm very attached to Holy Name School. I was there kindergarten through high school and taught there and other places in Omaha and out of the country, out of this state. And I'm enjoying these years doing something different here. And day by day, I find out a lot of more things to do.
I'm Sister Donna Marie, servant of Mary, Sister Donna Marie McGargle. I grew up here in Omaha, taught by the Mercies down at St. John's at Creighton, and also had the Dominican sisters up at Holy Angels, and also went to Marian High School and then had our Servant of Mary convent out there, and then joined in 61 for that, and have been in religious life all over the country. Michigan, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, you name it, Oregon, whatever. I've been there. And small towns, three rooms at a school, to Pius where they would have 1,600 kids or 7 classes of first grades, that type of thing. And then I grew up in a very wonderful family, but my dad was a very violent alcoholic also. Good man, but very broken. And my mother managed to get through all that, and so, of course, I was named after him, so I could get away with anything. But, the spirituality that they received in their family lives over in Iowa, in a little town of Imogene, which just has 30 people in it. They brought I think they populated half of Omaha, but whatever. And just being around each of you and in our ministries and our times and our days, and your presence, and all the priests that have been in and out of our lives and all over the place, has been such a great grace, and I'm deeply grateful. And I'm also in music and other things, and seeing where the Lord leads all the time. But in the meantime, I also had a paralyzed right vocal cord, so I couldn't sing or talk for a year. And so I had to learn how to listen better. And then I also had, now I'm able to talk but not to sing. And I feel badly about that. But I'm so grateful when I listen to all of you singing beautifully. So I thank God for you, for myself, and for everybody, and praise the Lord.
I'm Sister Rosella, servant of Mary, and I have been a servant of Mary. It will be 60 years next year. And I come from a little town called Messina, New York, and it is bordered right on the St. Lawrence River. And I spent a lot of time in the water when I was a kid. I have been teaching. I taught for 52 years. I taught 5 schools here in Omaha. I taught in Detroit, 3 schools there, and I also taught in Iowa. And I never knew the Servants of Mary. I was taught by the Sisters of St. Joseph. And I told one of my dear friends that I might have a vocation. And she said to me, she knew the Servants of Mary. She said to me, I've got just the community for you. So I left my home, my little hometown, traveled 2 days on a train to come to Omaha, where I've never been before, to live with sisters I didn't even know. And I always say my vocation is just purely the grace of God. And I'm so grateful for that.
I'm Margaret Stratman. I'm a servant of Mary. Born and bred in Omaha. Went through Holy Name from kindergarten through senior year in high school. And have been in various ministries, primarily education, 4th grade through adult, and then also did counseling with adults. What else can I say? And I just have really enjoyed this move that we just made recently. It's been a good move, I think, for a lot of us. And it's a good, very good place to be. And we're glad we're here this evening.
My name is Jenny Silvestri. I'm a servant of Mary. And I made this retreat because I was kind of tired and I didn't want to bother trying to find someplace else to go. And at that point, I didn't know that it could be fun too, so this was kind of good. But my favorite ministries were, I taught 15 years at Marion High School, and I absolutely loved doing that. I loved being provincial for the 5 years that I did that. But my most fun ministry was traveling all around the country for 9 years, doing adult faith formation of various kinds. I gave a lot of retreats, a lot of different talks, parish missions, and that was the most fun. And Margaret will say that's because I'm a high extrovert and I like to talk. and she's right.
I'm Carolyn Ternaski, a servant of Mary. Born and raised and educated in Omaha. St. Bernard's was my home parish, and Marion High School was like another home to be, entering after high school. In terms of ministry, I started teaching at Holy Name and then was asked to go to Marion, and I loved both of those places. And then I went to Kearney, Nebraska at St. James, where I did pastoral ministry, and I had the privilege of working with Jim Goga. And I think that might have been his first assignment. So we did our best, and he's now a bishop, so I think we did a good job. Probably the most fulfilling ministry for me has been pastoral ministry, especially the initiation. I did that in Kearney for 15 years, initiation of adults, and a couple of years at Christ the King here in Omaha. And I'm currently working as an independent health insurance agent. So I may be the only one in the country.
Hi, I'm Jackie Thorne, servant of Mary. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and went to Servite High School in Detroit, and also moved back there as principal at one point, which was a wonderful experience. And I've been a teacher, I've been a principal, and I've been a parish worker. I just retired at the end of this school year from Marion High School from the campus ministry department. So it's been I've had great years, so God bless you, thanks.
I'm Sister Mary Gertrude, Chief, Sister of Mercy, born in North Dakota, grew up in Minnesota, came to Iowa, and now I'm here. My life as a Sister of Mercy, the Benedictine High School in Crookston, Minnesota, and the Benediction for my teachers from Catechism through. But really considered becoming a Benedictine until I met the Mercies in Cedar Rapids. And when I realized the different types of mercy work the Mercies did, that's really what compelled me to come to the Sisters of Mercy. I taught school for primary children for 29 years. And when the new laws came out from California and kind of traveled across the country, they drove me crazy. You couldn't teach with what they were telling you. Let the children do what they want. Let them. And so I left teaching in 1980 to fulfill a dream that I had wanted for a long time, and that was to become a chaplain in hospitals. So in 80, I continued studies in theology. In 80, toward the end of 80 anyhow, I was accepted at Rochester and Des Moines for the years of training. Chose Rochester, so that was a tremendous experience for me as an individual person and as one really leaning toward deeper spirituality. So I was a hospital chaplain for 31 years, and I think it was 4 different hospitals. Milwaukee, first one was Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Detroit Lakes, and the last was 14 years in Fort Dodge. There I retired and went to Sacred Heart. Was there one night, had a good breakfast, walking up the steps, I got kind of dizzy and I said, I don't feel so good. So whoever was beside me walked me to my room and left me and the nurse came in. And so, you want to go to the hospital? No, don't go to the hospital. Yeah, we did. And so I walked on her arm out to the car. Got in the car. I wanted her to not stop talking, but she didn't. She asked me a question, and I babbled, and I couldn't answer her. So I knew it was the beginning of a stroke. So I was at the hospital in rehabilitation for about 6 months. And then I had to decide to go back to Sacred Heart or come out here. And the decision was what the sisters had out here where they were living had all the things that I really needed without a lot of travel. And then after a few months, I decided to stay. And so I'm 4 years out here in Omaha. Blessed and grateful.
Marcia Higgins, Servite, from Detroit. I ministered 6 years in Omaha at Holy Name and Pius, 17 years in Jamaica, 35 years in Detroit. So I'm back after 50 years now living in Omaha. It's really fun to be back. Right now, my ministry, I'm still teaching English as a second language for Learning for All and working in the archives.
I'm Carrie Larkin, Servite. I'm from Sioux City, Iowa. I think I'm the only one here from Iowa. When I went to Heelan, there were seven different orders of sisters that taught there. And that's where I met the Servites. And I told my mom when I came, don't get excited, I'll be home in a week. So it's close to 60 years. So as they say, tell God your plans, and he laughs. I taught primary for close to 30 years. And then I was also the associate director of it, the Jesuit Retreat House in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which was truly my dream job, and loved every minute of it. And it was a privilege to walk with those people. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
I'm Linda Hess, born and raised here in Omaha, St. Bernard's Parish. Well, the Mercies taught me all through grade school. Then I went to Marion, met the Servites, went to College St. Mary's, went back to the Mercies, but did become a Servite. I've taught mostly the little people. I've been parish liturgist. I've been a musician. Worked in a retreat house up in Minnesota. Got my license in massage therapy and been a massage therapist. Worked on our leadership team, and I am now the director of our Peregrine Ministry and the mom of a great dog.
I'm Peggy Miller, and I'm not making this retreat. We had signed up for another retreat before we realized that this one was going to be offered at the same time. So just know that we're leading, Margaret and I are going to be leading Tuesday morning for Oshkosh. And we will be praying for you and ask you to pray for us.
I am Sister Ann Haworth, a servant of Mary. I was born and raised in New York, went to elementary school, went to college up about 50 miles out of the city of David College, which is now closed. And it was there that I had the time of my life. It was wonderful to be out in the country, which I never had a chance to do, living in New York. My sisters and I joined we all joined the same community at the first time. Then the community split apart. So I am here as a servant of Mary. I have a sister who's a Franciscan and another sister who is a sister of St. Joseph. We had a brother, George, and he was a Franciscan also. So, yeah, I think we had a devotion to St. Francis, but didn't know anything about it at the time. I loved teaching in Philadelphia. Philadelphia was a great city. It was historic, and I loved being there. I had the first grade. That was my very first teaching job. One of the boys cried, little tiny thing, all day. I said, honey, please stop crying. The mother is coming soon. Well, when that didn't work, then I had to dream up something else. So now I told them that she was bringing a special present. Well, the tears eventually stopped, and I prayed that the mom would come with something for the kid at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, she did. Thank God. Yeah. And I have taught in Omaha, Nebraska, in different schools. I have about a total teaching period of time in my life, about a good 40 years or plus. So I'm very happy to be here. And the grace that I have already asked for is the grace to accept this disability that I just developed over a period of time. It is difficult at times, and so I do offer that up each day for a special intention. Thank you.
Hello, I am Cheryl Poulin. I am not a sister. I work for the Sisters of Mercy as a pastoral care coordinator. And it's a little over 2 years I've been with the Sisters of Mercy. I am an associate. I became an associate for the Sisters of Mercy in March. I worked with Father Dave in the 90s. Was at St. Leo's from 92 to 97 as the youth and young adult director under Father Pat. He was my pastor there. And it's kind of funny that this will be my last job in my life. And my first job in ministry was actually with Father Pat. I've done all kinds of things, but I fell in love with working with older adults in 2012. I went straight from working with high school kids to working with older adults. Started out at Notre Dame Housing and actually worked there twice. And then found out about this opening at the Sisters of Mercy, and it allowed me to bring the spirituality and the working with older adults together, and it's been fabulous. I love the sisters.
I'm Rosalie Riccobono, Servite, Detroiter. My first year teaching First place was Holy Name. Then I was in Messina. Excuse me. When I burned out from teaching, I got into parish work. I have a degree in liturgy. When I burned out from parish work, I worked with developmentally disabled adults as a caregiver. I did that for 18 years. And, I was going to say that was my favorite, but I think there were some years teaching were good, some years in pastoral work, also parish work that were good. One of my last places in the parish was at St. Pius. That was good, very good.
I'm Anne Marie Petroka. I'm a servant of Mary from Detroit. And I've gotten to do lots of different things. I was the first grade teacher, a religious ed director, pastoral minister, and a spiritual director. Most recently, I worked at St. Theo's, which is where there are still stories about Father Dave doing cartwheels up the aisle. I won't say anything else. And about Cheryl. So I've been looking forward to this retreat. The grace I'm asking for is trust. I don't like God right now, and I don't trust God right now. I say to people, I used to run around like a crazy lady. Now I can't get across my apartment without a walker. So I'm struggling in trusting that God knows what He's doing.
I'm Sister Gabriel. I'm a servant of Mary. I grew up on a farm in Ridgeway, Illinois. I taught for 47 years full-time and 6 years as assistant.
I'm Karen Brown, servant Mary. I did not go to Catholic school, I'm a publican. And yes, and I'm a little bit Indian. I have taught, but I've been involved in pastoral ministry more, working with refugees, working in the parish, doing hospital chaplaincy. But I have to say I was 30 years in Jamaica, and I loved it. I learned so much, it was so beautiful. Worked in a parish, and we had 3 priests in the whole diocese, which was half of the island. So we worked with our lay people, many of whom could not read. But when we left, they could lead the Sunday service, and they didn't play priest. The entire church was involved. I also worked with AIDS people, and discovered a deep, deep beauty with them. But when I went over into Social Security and all that business, I don't like it when we don't live in the United States, and we have a hard time. So I came back, and at the Mother House, I worked with the older sisters, setting up a healthcare program. And then came here, and I love being with people. It's like walking with God all the time.
Joan Whittaker, a servant of Mary,
and another one from Detroit, like a lot of us. And that's where I met the Servants of Mary and came to Omaha, not having a clue what Omaha was like compared to Detroit. I started out teaching 6th grade at Holy Name, and then Marian biology. I learned along with them for many years, and then I went into pastoral ministry and done that in different parishes here in Arizona and Iowa. But off and on, I've been at Marian probably 27 years doing different things. Currently, I in the bereavement minister and work with our moms who have lost a loved one.
I'm Jean Ward. I'm a Sister of Mercy. I got my vocation in the 2nd grade. I went to St. Bernard's grade school, worked at the orphanage from 7th grade through high school, went to Mercy High School, and then straight into the convent from high school. I've had numerous ministries, primarily special education, regular education, grade school, low-income housing. I was on the leadership team. I worked in the archives. I know the sisters are working in the archives now. And I am very happy living here.
I'm Sister Mara Clark. I'm from York, Nebraska, born and raised on a farm, and spent time with the family. I'm the oldest of 9, so I started learning about nursing mighty early on in my lifetime, which I am now. And then attended grade school in the country school, which was a real good experience. Then I went to high school with a different group of sisters. I can't remember the title, but anyway, they were lovely teachers. And I graduated from grade school, went on into nursing then after that. And most of my lifetime as a nurse serving patients, families, sick people, many I've learned a lot from what I'm trying to say. I've learned a lot from them, and it's been a wonderful life.
I'm Sister Doris Durant, and I grew up on a dairy farm outside of Messina, New York. And I learned about the Servants of Mary when I was in 1st grade and decided when I met Sister Colette that I was going to be just like Sister Colette. Well, I'm still working on it. I might be 86, but I'm still working on liking to be like Sister Colette. And Servants of Mary have been such a gift in my life, and I really feel like I belong to the family, and I have a great sense of gratitude in my heart. Thank you.
I'm Nancy Marsh, Servant of Mary. I'm from Detroit. I've been in various forms of education, 22 years as a teacher, and I've been in pastoral ministry. I worked in a shelter in Arizona for abused and abandoned kids, inner city parish in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I retired from being a chaplain at Emmanuel about 5 years ago. And I just feel that every place I was taught me, and I loved every experience.
I'm Sister Mary Peter. I'm from Detroit. I was taught by the Servites from grade 1 through 12. They were good teachers, and I decided that I wanted to be like them, and I did. And I was in the classroom for maybe 65 years, mostly with little guys. And until 3 years ago. And it's been fine, wonderful.
I'm Kathy Avery, Servite sister. I was not taught by the Mercies nor the Servants of Mary.
I'm a native Detroiter. I've mostly been in education, elementary and education as a teacher and principal. I'm a math teacher and religious ed, pastoral associate. I love everything I've done.
I'm Mary Chamberlain. I'm a Servite. I was taught by the Mercies at St. Bernard's through until 7th grade, and then we moved to Holy Name and had Holy Name. Then in the 8th grade, had the Servites there through high school and fell in love with them because they were awesome teachers and so enthused about everything they taught. And I remember when I was a senior and Zita said to me, "Mary, have you ever thought about being a sister?" So I always have Zita to thank for that question, because who knows? I mean, God has a plan. I'm sure it would all work out, but I'm grateful for that. So it's been great. I think my favorite ministry has been pastoral ministry. I worked 29 years in the Grand Island Diocese, and I really did love it. And I'm so grateful that I was able to be music director, liturgist, pastoral ministry in lots of ways, RCIA, homebound ministry, just wonderful experiences. That was my passion and great joy, and now I'm on the leadership team, and I'm still discovering what all that means.
Let us continue to pray. Almighty God, we now know a little bit more about what you already know about these beautiful people in this room, about the many years of service that have been given so generously. We ask you to continue to open all of our hearts to whatever it is that you have in store for us. We ask you to be with us this week. Guide our hearts to the place where you want them to be. To come to know you a little bit better. To maybe grow a little bit more in trust. To continue to recognize that you do have a plan. You have a purpose for us. We ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen. So, I was thinking probably like when the microphone was right over here, I was like, oh, I started a retreat without praying. Okay, good one. Good one, Dave. All right, so, but really that was a prayer for me, hearing what all of you shared so openly. And I do have to say, something that came back to me that was embedded into my brain. It's been a few years now, but from 2003 until 2012, I prayed the canonization prayer for Kiteri Tekakwitha at every meeting we had on the reservations, every Mass we ever celebrated. We would pray, "Oh God, who among the many marvels of your grace in a new world did cause to blossom on the banks of the Mohawk and of the St. Lawrence, pure and tender lily, Galilee Tekakwitha." Yeah. So that you brought that back to me, so thank you. And then I was able to go over and witness her canonization. Great gift. So thank you all for that. And now, just the last thing I'm going to invite you to do, if it's okay with you, I'm going to play the Native American flute, and I'm going to invite you to really just to come up with that, spend a little bit of time seeing if the Holy Spirit is going to move you, or if you already have that grace that you desire already, great. But just spend some time with that, okay? And if you have something to write down, you might want to write it down. If you don't, you can come up with a new one tomorrow. That's what I would have to do, because if I would forget it. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to come up with the grace that you are desiring in this retreat. refreshments now, right?
Yeah, so when you leave here, there's a table